Welcome to the Billionaire Mindset, your 30-day journey to thinking like a billionaire. Now you can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the entire series for free and get the bonus PDF companion calendar, check the link in the description below. Today is day 5, and we're going to learn the meditation and mindfulness habits of billionaires. Enjoy.
Usually before the sun comes up, I offer myself to something greater than myself. If it's for 1 minute, 20 seconds, or 10 minutes, I at least stop in that space in my house every morning. I have a little meditation space where I just go. I have beautiful spiritual readings there. I light my 3 candles there, daily word or something, and I express to this greater energy field than I, that I don't want to be alone as I move out into the world. For me, at this particular time in my life, I recognize that everything is about moving closer to that which is God. And without a full spiritual center, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about without understanding the fullness of from which you've come, you can't really fulfill your supreme moment of destiny. And I think everybody has a supreme moment of destiny. So what you've done and what you've been doing, and actually people have several supreme moments, some people do. So I think being connected to that which is greater than yourself, for me, at this particular time in my life, is the most important thing, and that's what I'm working on. One of the things I did in next chapter, I went to visit a town called TM Town, and it's in Fairfield, Iowa. Would you imagine that in Fairfield, Iowa, it's a town population about 9,500, a third of the town meditates. So there's a traffic jam in Fairfield, Iowa at 5:30 with mothers and doctors and dentists and lawyers and engineers and clerks and soccer moms all headed to the Dome in Fairfield, Iowa, people who look just like you and me, and they're all there meditating. And in order to prepare to doing that show, I brought the Transcendental Meditationists into Harpo Studios to teach me and my team how to meditate. So we started meditating. 7 of us, 7 led to 70, led to 270, led to now everybody in the company meditates. 9 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the afternoon, no matter what's going on, we stop. We meditate. And that way of being still with ourselves, coming back to the center and recognizing that something is more important than you, it's more important than the work you're doing, it's more important, brings a kind of energy and an intensity of energy, an intention that we've never had before. And you can't imagine what's happened in the company. People who used to have migraines don't, people are sleeping better, people have better relationships, people interact with other people better. It's been fantastic.
Meditation is the biggest gift that I can give anyone. And I would say more than anything, it is whatever reason for success I've had. Because it allows one, back to the 2 U's, I'll clarify. What I mean is that in your mind, we think, what do you want? And the reality is, when you look at the neuroscience and psychology, that there are different parts of your brain that want different things. And so in the simplest sense, there is the logical part of your brain that you're conscious of, it's called the conscious, and you think you're being logical and you want to make those decisions. And then there's the subliminal, below the limbic system, part of the brain, which is the emotional, and it's not as conscious to you, but it has more of an influence on you than really the logical one. And so they're not aligned. And so when you're experiencing that pain, or let's say the ego, right, there were 2 main things. You got an ego barrier and a blind spot barrier. If you can get past your ego barrier and you get past your blind spot barrier, you can accomplish anything, because you'll also know that you don't have to do everything, you don't have to figure it out yourself. You can take in from other people the different ways to approach things in the best possible way. And so the realization that we all are really struggling with ourselves, and to think which is in control. Meditation helps to deal with the alignment of those two things. What happens with meditation, as you know, is it's just a simple exercise that allows you first to clear your head and then brings an equanimity to everything. It eliminates the stress, it eliminates the emotion.
And you do it how often? You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 44 years, but I do it, twice a day, probably a third of the time, once a day, probably a third of the time, and not at all.
For 20 minutes, twice a day.
Yeah.
So you spend 40 minutes a day as part of your...
Oh, it's such a great investment. I would say that more than any other factor having any effect on my success, it's been meditation. Because the equanimity and also the creativity, because it opens between literally the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, it opens the two sides of the brains and it allows a spontaneity, a creativity, an open-mindedness. And so it's good for not only the health, because you get stress is a terrible thing, but it also is very good in terms of the clarity, and you don't get the emotional hijacking, and it's great for creativity. So it's helped me a lot. It's the biggest gift I can give anyone. I do transcendental meditation. There are all sorts of different types of meditation that I think. It has changed my life. It has been so powerful, and it's probably the biggest gift that I can give anybody because it gives you, I'll describe it, I guess, briefly. It connects your conscious mind with your subconscious mind and gives you an equanimity and a creativity that you ordinarily wouldn't have. And the reason it does that, mechanistically the way it does it, is by having a mantra, which is a word that doesn't have a meaning, it's a sound, something like, popular one would be Om. So you repeat that with your breath, and that means that you get rid of your thoughts, because if you sit there and say, I'm going to try not to think, you can't do that. The thoughts just jump around. And so to get rid of your thoughts, you go to this mantra, you repeat it over and over again. And when you pay attention to that, you can't be thinking about something. And then eventually the mantra disappears and you're in a subconscious state. And when you're in that subconscious state, you're neither conscious or unconscious. You're in your subconscious state. And that's where, so it's relaxing and it's great and it gives you that equanimity, but it also is where creativity comes from. Because you don't muscle creativity. You don't say, I'm going to work there, get creative. It's more like relaxation. You take a hot shower and this great idea comes to you. So it bubbles up from your subconscious. And so it enhances creativity. And also I would say one of the best things that one can do is reconcile one's subconscious, emotional self with one's intellectual self. Because if you can get those things aligned, like if they work in both ways, you're going to make better decisions. So meditation has given me that kind of equanimity. So I look at things, things I might not want to happen, but I can approach them calmly and better. So it's a big deal. It's been a big deal for me. In 1968, the Beatles went to India to learn how to meditate. And then I heard quite a bit about it, and it was in the media. It was interesting, and then I tried. I learned how to meditate, and it was definitely life-changing. I would say that probably more than anything, it had a bigger effect on my life than practically anything because of how it works. And the way it works is. It's basically open-mindedness. So what happens is, normally you can't control your brain. If you were to sit down and say, I'm not going to think, it will be filled with stuff and it'll jump all over and you can't control it. So what happens is, this is an exercise that creates open-mindedness, because there's a word that doesn't make sense, which is called a mantra. So it's a sound that you repeat. And so while your brain is wanting to jump all over the place by repeating this sound mentally. It takes your attention away from those thoughts. And then when you continue to repeat it, it goes away. And so there's nothing. And so you go into nothingness. Okay, now when you go into that nothingness, first of all, you've learned the ability to control your brain so that you can go there. You can put things away. You can approach them in a certain way. When you go into that open-mindedness, you're going into your subconscious. So you're not a state of conscious, so I'm not aware, but I'm not asleep. Asleep is, you know, you hear a sound, you won't wake up. This is, if I hear the slightest sound, I'm, you know, attuned to it. So it's a state of subconsciousness. And there are different parts of our brain that have a very big influence on us. The amygdala is the part of the brain that has the fight or flight that produces anxiety. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain which we call for executive functioning, where it's the part that's reflective. It's the part that we are calm and we say, do we want to do that? Do we not want to do that? We put things in perspective. Those two parts of the brain fight with each other. In other words, the passion, I'm going to do that because it's exciting, but it may be harmful. The other part of the brain says, you don't want to do that. And so that whole emotional fight or flight part of the brain, during meditation, through brain imaging, they see that calms down and the prefrontal cortex lights up. So that open-mindedness creates where creativity comes from, because creativity is not coming from the working the brain in the I will work hard and think about it in that I will muscle it through. It comes from this relaxation. It's just like it's an opening up and, you know, take a hot shower and don't be thinking of something, and some great idea comes through and you grab the great idea. So meditation is very much like that. It opens the mind, creates an openness, a freedom. It's in which that, I don't know whether we would say intuition or that creativity just kind of comes through, and it creates an equanimity that, in other words, you could step back and you can put things in perspective. It doesn't lessen your emotions. The emotions are the same, but you can step back and say, I'm not going to be controlled by that emotion, or let me put things. And I think it then helps to see things at a higher level.
What is your strategy for dealing with distractions? What is your strategy for dealing with distractions? That's a great question.
Yes, something that you've heard about. You've heard about this, but it's that thing, like, are you willing to go to where you need to go and get out your comfort zone? The number one thing that has been able to help me with distractions is two things. One of them is prayer. Just taking 2 minutes to quiet everything out and talk to God. And then the second thing, which I was like, I can't do this. I can't even believe I said that, is meditation. Meditation. If that's one thing y'all take away from today, is just go on YouTube and say 10-minute meditation, smooth music, something, type in anything, 10-minute meditation. I gotta go see my girl, she mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is, type it in and just really kind of clear your mind.
Most people let the outside world affect them. So they're not coming forth with themselves. They're a reaction to somebody else's action. When you get into things like meditation a little bit or into yoga, you're more into yourself. It's so powerful. I had a partner of mine that was in bad shape. He had a heart problem. One of his kidneys was missing already, and he could not qualify for the heart transplant list. He could not qualify. He was too bad. If you're too bad, you don't qualify. If you're too good, it's like right in the middle there, right? He couldn't qualify, but he was too bad for it. His body was really deteriorated. I called a friend of mine, Dr. Dean Ornish, and Dr. Dean Ornish is a brilliant man. He has found out how to reverse heart disease, different forms of cancer, different forms of diabetes, through diet and meditation. His thing is, you must have diet, you must have meditation, and you must have exercise combined together. Within 3 months, this fellow not only got qualified for the list, but got off it at the top. That fast in 3 months. But it was diet, meditation, and of course, exercise. Well, when you're into yoga, I believe it's a combination of exercise and meditation. You're like trying to be there with the one. And it's something that really works. What I do in the morning is I don't sit around for an hour meditating, but every morning I'll get up and I'll take at least 5 minutes and just be. Look around the room, the ceiling, whatever's in front of me, and just be in the present. Not think about my problems, not think about my goodness, not think about anything good or bad during the day or what I'm going to do next. Just try and be in the here and now, which is difficult to do. Yeah. And then I have just a small mantra that I do, and it's just one sentence, and that is, Creator of souls, thank you for the life you've given me. Help let me see the truth and share what I have and make the world better off because I'm here. Very short, very, very short. Repeat it one time, that's it, and try and be in the here and now. And I probably do that 90% of the time.
I started playing with meditation about 20 years ago. It wasn't that serious, and I think the most I actually practiced within that time frame was, probably 20, 30 minutes, and wasn't really aware of a lot of the theories and some of the focus that I needed until about 2 years ago when I went to my first Vipassana course. I went to this little town just south of Dallas and did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And it was one of the hardest, but also one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And one of the practices of Vipassana is to do one of these retreats every year, but also to carry through with your practice, you do 2 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening before bed. And what it's done for me is really just a sense of clarity, certainly one of focus, certainly one of recognizing when I'm reacting to something, which has this, momentum of not feeling necessarily in control. But as I did it, at the end of last year, I just went even deeper into that clarity and was, instantly reminded of the year prior. And I had this experience where I just felt like I was picking up where I left off. And that was really powerful to me. So for me, every single day, it's a time to build self-awareness. And that's what it comes down to.
Now I've got some special bonus clips that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the Billionaire Mindset question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? Also, if you've already got your Billionaire Mindset Companion PDF calendar, get ready for another amazing video tomorrow. Or if you don't have it yet, you can get it for free in the first line of the description below. And if you're enjoying this Billionaire Mindset series, give me a hashtag Billionaire Mindset in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
Come te può capire che stavo bene se tu le parli miezzo americano quando dava l'amore sotto la luna come ti viene che capiti I love you parli americano americano Papà l'americano. Papà l'americano. Papà l'americano. Papà l'americano.
Take control of your mind and your thoughts and focus on your breathing. Feel the power of you, the real you, controlling your breathing. The real you is always present right now. You are more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine, because you get to focus on the greatest gift ever. Now, your presence, where your attention is being drawn to now, no matter what's going on outside your mind. Feel the power of your breathing. There are astronomical numbers of things going on in one breath. That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful your determination is. So let's use that power. Let's use that third eye, that mind's eye that we all have. Let's use it right now. And let's see ourselves doing the best we can on all the stretches and exercises today in our gym period. Gym. G-Y-M. Grow your mind. And here we are in the gym of life. Growing our minds and growing our bodies. Taking control of what we truly are. Simply being. Human being, the most powerful energy thing in the universe. That's who you really are. So see yourself right now. See it in your mind. Because whatever you see in your mind, you can make real with your eyes open. Everything created with your eyes closed can be made real with your eyes open.
Ready to start our warm up? We're going to start off by just walking on the spot. You start getting your arms involved. A little bit higher with our knees. You got some room, you can walk a few steps forward, a few steps back. Now we're just going to go with high knees. Try to get opposite knee, opposite arm. Now we're going to go to heel kicks. Try to get your heel as high as you can towards your backside. We're going to do some side shuffles. Just going to go off a few steps to your side. See how much room you have. You might have room for 2 shuffles, possibly 3 shuffles. And now we're going to do some leg swings. You have a wall, you can hold on to your wall. Work both sides. We're going to move to some hamstring stretches as we move. So we're just going to go down, try to touch heel to the floor, try to get as low as you can. You don't need to touch the ground. You're just sweeping the floor with your arms. Just going heel to toe, heel to toe, heel to toe. Awesome. Some big arm circles forward. A little bit smaller. And smaller. Now we can go reverse. A little bit larger. Larger. And nice and big circles. Awesome. Should be ready for our workout now that we're nice and warmed up. That was a great workout. Now it's time for our cool down. Let's start off with a few cool down stretches. Start off with the shoulder stretch. Take your right arm, place it across your body. You can use your left arm to pull it towards your body gently. Let's switch with your left arm. Next, we're going to try an overhead stretch. Arms together, just reach up for the sky. Then we're going to do hands behind your back, stick out your chest. We're just going to do a chest stretch. Awesome. We're going to go down to the floor in a kneeling position. Start off with my right knee back, left knee forward. And all I'm going to do is a hip flexor and I'm going to move forward, keeping your body nice and straight. Move forward. And hold. And switch. Remain straight and lean. Your front foot is flat on the floor. Next one, we're going to go onto our stomachs. On your elbows, elbows are directly under your shoulders, and we're just going to come up like a cobra. We're going to turn over onto our backs. Arms out. We're going to start off with our right leg, trying to touch our left hand, but keeping our right shoulder onto the ground. And let gravity do the work. Bring it back and try left foot, trying to touch our right hand. Keeping both shoulders onto the floor. And back up. Last one, we're going to do a hamstring stretch. This one, I need you to have your knees slightly bent, feet shoulder width apart. We're going to keep our back straight on this, and we're going to try and get as far down as we can. Some of you will be able to touch your toes. What I don't want you to do is have your legs straight and do this. What you want to do is slight bend, keep your back straight, and see how far down you can go and hold. Great job today.
So our job is to go from philosopher to initiate to master, from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from From thinking to doing to being, to learning it with your head, practicing it with your hands, and knowing it by heart. And this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. This is a time in history to know how. And I can tell you from my traveling around the world, the common people that look just like you are doing the uncommon. They're healing themselves of very serious health conditions. They're creating better opportunities and better lives for themselves, new careers. They're healing old scars and wounds that kept them connected to the past. And they're having mystical experiences that transcend language. And they look just like you. That most people in their life wait for that crisis or the trauma, the disease or the diagnosis, some kind of loss, betrayal in their life before they make up their mind to change. And my message has always been, why wait? Why wait for that tragedy before you decide to change who you are? That when you begin to apply these principles because you understand that they work, then it means then you'll believe in a future more than you believe in your past. And people who do the work are more in love with their future than they are with their past. And they're more interested in telling the story of possibility in their future than reliving the emotions and experiences of the past. And you know, the beauty behind all of this is that you don't have to be a monk. You don't have to be a priest. You don't have to be a rabbi. You don't have to have 40 years of meditation. You don't have to be a scholar or an academic. As a matter of fact, it's better if you're not. Because the simplicity of all of this, when people begin to apply it, is they begin to experience the fruits of their efforts. And I can tell you there isn't a person that is so special to be excluded from this phenomenon. And that your thoughts literally have an effect on your body. That all thoughts carry an energy or a frequency. And if you believe that on some level that your thoughts have something to do with your body or your life, and you're thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same redundant thoughts as the day before, it's going to produce the same measurable effects in your body, yes or no? And you are going to begin to emit the same energy and information in your field. And you are going to keep creating the same life. So then the same thoughts always lead to the same choices. The same choices always lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the same experiences. And the same experiences produce the same feelings and the same emotions. And those very same emotions drive your very same thoughts. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your hormones, and even your genetic expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, you would have to change your personality, yes or no? That means then you would have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You would have to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors and modify them. Even what you say and how you talk. And you would have to look at those emotions that keep you connected to your past, because emotions are the end product of past experiences. And you would have to decide, do these emotions belong in my future? That means if you want to be wealthy, you can't take lack or unworthiness. Wealthy person would never feel that way. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You're literally going to have to become someone else. And it's a fact that by the time we're 35 years old, we become memorized to a set of automatic programs, behaviors, beliefs, perceptions, emotional reactions that function subconsciously. So then the first process of change then would become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. The fact that you can observe how you're thinking, notice how you're acting, and pay attention to how you're feeling, the moment you can observe that, it means you're no longer the program, yes or no? You're the consciousness observing the program, and you're beginning to objectify your subjective self. You're no longer your biology. You're the consciousness observing who you are. So then the word meditation then literally means to become familiar with. That's what it means. That's the symbol. The moment you become aware of that, then, it means then you're less likely to lower your energy and your emotional state during your day because you would become conscious of it. And what if, then, you decided, what thoughts do I want to put my attention behind? Let me review them, how a great person would think. What would be the internal dialogue they would have? And if you did that a few times, you would begin to install some circuits in your brain, yes or no? And who knows? In your waking day, you may start thinking like a great person. And if you said, I'm going to master this day, one lifetime, how would an unlimited person live today? And you began to rehearse in your mind who you were going to be before you opened your eyes. The act of rehearsing mentally, when you're truly present, your brain does not know the difference between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. And all of a sudden, you begin to install more circuits in your brain, priming it. All of a sudden, installing those circuits so that you have the hardware in place to act. And if you've done that enough times, would you all of a sudden start acting like that person? In your waking day, because you've primed your brain instead of to be a record of the past, that now it's becoming a map to the future. And then what if you said, now this is to me greatness, can I teach my body emotionally what my future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? The moment you start feeling wholeness, your healing begins. The moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, you're walking towards your future. The moment you're empowered by a vision, and every single day you're living in that energy, you are going to tune into a new future. And synchronicities and serendipities are going to begin to happen all around you. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you're going to magnetize an equal. And the moment you're in awe of knowledge and information, you're going to have a mystical experience. And that's causing an effect. If an experience in your environment produces an emotion, and science tells us it's the environment that signals the gene, when you begin to experience the emotion ahead of the environmental experience, you're signaling the gene to begin to make new proteins to prepare the body for that future experience. Now you're in alignment biologically with the destiny, neurologically, chemically, hormonally. And all of a sudden now, this is the beauty. If you're able to then maintain that state of mind and body, where there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the experience has already occurred because you're doing the work, then the magic starts to happen in your life, and it comes out of nowhere. Those coincidences, those opportunities that begin to unfold are unfolding because you're no longer living in the known. You're living in the unknown. And I'm telling you, you're more alive and at your best when you're in the unknown than when you're in the known. And I know it from experience, and I've witnessed it too many times. And it will come in a way that you least expect. Why? Because if you can expect it, it's nothing new. If you can predict it, it's more of the same. It's got to be a surprise. It's got to rock your world. It's got to catch you off guard, and it has to leave no doubt that what you did inside of you produced some effect outside of you. And that's when we go from being a victim to being a creator.